Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner, and one of the questions I had recently was, how do you set up your watch face for racing? Do you have a watch face specifically for racing? And I do. So let me take you through what I have on my watch face. It is on a Garmin for racing. So what you can see on the top there is I have the timer, how long I've been going for. Now that helps me, especially for the long distance races where I might schedule what I'm consuming, whether it be a gel or a date. Sometimes I take dried fruit or liquid, how often I'm going to take that. So I might say, hey, I'm going to take my first gel after 30 minutes. So the timer helps with that. Then right down the bottom, I've got the distance. I know how far I'm racing. By and large, I don't lose so much. I don't suffer from oxygen deprivation so much that I forget the length of the race. I come close, but not all the time. And so I have the distance down below. And then to the right there, you can see we have the average pace. Now be careful of that. That average pace, of course, is going to be more relevant towards the end of the race, because when you have a target time in mind, that average pace, you work that out to what your average pace is going to be, and you'll have an idea. Though the average pace, with that said, can be helpful at the start of the race, because if you know, and if it's a long race, so say it's 10 kilometers or longer, where if you go out too hard, too fast, you can really burn your matches and feel it later on. So you want to make sure that you're running within yourself, then the average pace can help with that. From 500 meters onwards, it'll start to normalize and let you know how you're going leading into that first kilometer or that first mile or the second kilometer, third kilometer, second mile. So at the start, it will make sure that you stay where you're supposed to. And then your pace is how you're going right now. So if your average pace, you want to run a 40-minute 10K, and you're averaging 4:02 for the first 4K, which is probably perfect. Then if your pace is a 3:58 or a 3:55, then you know you're probably going okay. You're going to be able to pull it back. You're currently running under what you need. That average pace will come down. Now, of course, with every watch, be conscious that you're checking your pace maybe every so often, and you will get some rogue readings. So it might say 4:05 when you're actually running a 3:55, and then it'll come back to 3:55. But you don't want to look at your watch the whole time. Enjoy your run. And whatever, if you're looking at your watch 2 or 3 times and you're running 3:55 and that's the pace you want to run, and just take a moment to ask, how is this feeling? How am I going? How does it feel? And then just stay in that feeling. So you're not having to look at your watch to understand your pace. You know, by just running the same way, by and large, you're running at that pace. Okay, that was a little tip, but that's how I set up my watch for a race. So 5K, look, if I'm doing 800 meters, then nothing on my watch counts for anything. You're not looking at your watch for something. Well, I'm not, for an 800 meter race. Probably the shortest I'll look at it might be if I'm doing a time trial, meaning I'm not racing others, and it's a 1500 meters and above. Certainly 5K, I'll have a time in mind. I'm less likely to be racing other people for a 5K. I'll be going for a PB or just checking my fitness where I'm at. So that's how I set up my watch for a race. Now, the same setup though. So I don't use it for training. Training's different. Training, I'll just share what I do there. For some training sessions, I'll have just 2 metrics on it, my heart rate and my cadence. So I'll be working to find how I can keep my cadence up, but my heart rate down. So I'm looking for efficiencies there. So that's part of that training session. That's the purpose, finding efficiencies. But for most other training sessions, I'm not looking at my watch at all. If it's a long, slow, or an easier recovery jog or run, I'm not looking at my watch. I don't need to. I already know the course that I'm going to run, approximate distance, or I might be running to approximate time. So I'm going to be running to an hour. Then you just need a stopwatch. Run for an hour, call it a day. It doesn't matter if you went fast or slow or it does matter if you went too fast, of course, because it's a long, slow recovery run. So those types of runs, don't need to look at my watch at all. For other sessions, if I'm doing 800 meter laps like I was last night, shout out to the Wellington crew, the WAC crew, and Willie and Terry, who I was sharing most of my intervals with. We did 7 by 800 meters. So there I'll just be looking at my lap times. So what my current pace, what my average pace is for that lap. So I just hit the lap reset button. So 800 meters, hit the lap reset button, see how I went, and then a 90-second gap. And then when I go again for the next 800 meters, hit the lap reset button again. Quick tip though, your Garmin and probably other watches are the same. They take a little while to properly calculate how your pace is for that lap. So my 800 meters is usually about 780. Because I get up to speed, and when I'm up to the pace I want, then I click the lap, because then the readings I get telling me my speed are accurate. If I click lap and then I start to speed up, then it's going to be a while before the lap pace starts to get, it might even be 200 meters before you've got really some indication where your lap pace is, because of all the data at the start has sort of not polluted it a little bit. So the average isn't where it should be in terms of the average lap pace. So those are the other things. Now, here's another key tip. That same screen I had for racing, I have for warm down, or it might be warm down from a race, or it might be warm down after an interval session. Because when you're doing intervals, and when I was doing intervals last night with Willie and Terry, we were getting down to about 3:30 minute Ks for those 800 meters. But when you go straight from that to, and that was the 7th effort, so we're getting progressively faster. This is the point. When you finish at a 3:30 and you go straight into your warm down, you might find you're warming down at 4:30 minute Ks, as opposed to where you should be, your 6 minute. Now that's why I go to the racing watch setup, because if I do that, I'll see it. I'll see it in my pace, saying 4:05, and then that will become my average. And so what I'll do is I'll consciously slow myself down and make that average get bigger. So what I need to do as I'm warming down is make sure that my current pace is slower than my average pace. So I'm slowing myself down the whole time. And as that average pace gets slower and slower, because my current pace is slower, I slow down my current pace even more. So it's a great way to make sure that you are warming down, especially when you come off something hot and your idea of a warm down is way too fast because you've come off those hot intervals. So that setup, great for racing and great for warming down, making sure that my current pace is slower than my average pace, bringing my average pace down all the time, and I stay under it all the time, continually bringing it down. So think of it as a triangle, where at the start of the triangle, you're running too fast at your warm down, but towards the end of the triangle, much slower, getting less distance done under your legs. That's it. That is my watch setup. If you've got any questions, let me know. Some of you may have bristled at the term warm down. You like warm up, cool down. I don't like cool down. I like warm down. Here's why. Here's why. And let me know in the comments if you agree with this. Because you're warming, you're coming down from a training session, but you're doing it while you're warm, not cooling down. Cooling down could be anything, meaning as soon as you finish your race, you're standing around doing nothing. That's cooling down. Warming down means you're coming down off it, but you're doing it while you're warm, as opposed to standing still doing nothing. So that's why I use the term warm down, to remind myself, while you're warm, bring yourself down during that period. And then, of course, you can do, if you want, you cool down later, where you're resting, you're recovering, stretching, that sort of thing. That's why I use the term warm up and warm down. Like it, makes sense to me. Anyway, that is it. Thank you for staying to the end of the video. Please hit subscribe. I'm so close to 500 and it's taken me a while. And that is because my videos probably, they aren't as great as many others. I don't edit them. I do them all in one take. This is the first take of this video. So thank you for putting up with me. If you wanted to start making videos of yourself, what I'd say is one tip, just don't worry about what other people think. And that makes it much easier for me to record these videos. Okay, I've got some product tests coming up in the next video. And yeah, like, subscribe, does me a huge favor. I love it. And catch you in the next one. Any questions, throw them in the comments. Because I have so few subscribers, I'll answer them. See you soon. Bye.